When a team steps into the World Series, it's not just about baseball. It's about pressure, legacy, collapse. One error can cost everything. One hit can change history. This isn't April Ball. This is October warfare. Between 1903 and 1933, the World Series was raw, brutal, and unforgiving. Teams won with almost no offense. Legends were born on fluke plays, and entire franchises vanished into irrelevance after one bad week. This isn't just a list of who won. It's the wild, messy, unbelievable story of the first 30 fall classics. The weird nicknames, the heartbreaks, the dynasties, and the disasters. Some series made history, some were pure madness, and some never should have happened. So buckle up, because this is how it all started. And no, it wasn't clean. 1903, the very first MLB World Series saw the Boston Americans beat the Pittsburgh Pirates in an 8-game series 5-3. Boston won 91 games that year, compared to 47 losses, and was led by manager Jimmy Collins. Collins knew how to keep his team hot because their longest losing streak of the season was only 3 games. But what happened just 2 years later? Let's just say, dominance looked very different. The New York Giants won in 1905, beating the Philadelphia Athletics in a 5-game series 4-1. This New York team featured 3 Hall of Fame players, with star pitcher Christy Mathewson winning the Triple Crown during the regular season and posting 3 shutouts in their series against the Athletics. Of course, we can't forget about Turkey Mike Donlin, who scored the most runs in the majors that year. And yet, the craziest team was still to come. 1906, the Chicago White Sox defeated the Chicago Cubs in a 6-game series. Mind you, Chicago went 116-36 that season, the best winning percentage in modern baseball history. They won 93 games that season, a mark they would not reach again until 1915. This group also achieved a 19-game winning streak, thanks to their excellent pitching staff. Weirdly enough, they had the worst batting average in the American League that year. This is why they were able to obtain the nickname, the Hitless Wonders. We might never see a team built like this group again. But how do you beat a team with the best record and the worst bats? Wait till you see what came next. Chicago came back to the World Series for a 2nd consecutive year in 1907, but this time they defeated the Detroit Tigers in a 4-game sweep. They finished with a record of 107-45, 17 games ahead of the next closest team in the National League. Chicago had 7 different pitchers see at least 18 innings that year, with all of them except one holding an ERA under 2.00. Spoiler, they weren't done just yet. We had a rematch in 1908, but nothing changed. The Chicago Cubs once again defeated the Detroit Tigers, although this series ended in 5 games rather than 4. Chicago was unable to win another title until 2016, and it failed to win a playoff series for an astonishing 95 years following this victory. Pitcher Mordecai Brown was 2nd in the league in wins and earned run average this year. The Tigers made a 3rd consecutive World Series appearance in 1909, but for the 3rd time, they lost. This time, it was against the Pittsburgh Pirates, and they lost in 7 games. Pittsburgh benefited from having Honus Wagner on their team this year, with him leading the league in batting average, on-base percentage, slugging percentage, and runs batted in. Thanks to that contribution, Pittsburgh scored the most runs in the league and posted a franchise record 110 wins. In 1910, Chicago returned to the World Series. They weren't as lucky this time around, dropping in 5 games to the Philadelphia Athletics. Philadelphia was a powerhouse this season, boasting a 57-19 home record, which is impressive, to put it mildly. Philly second baseman Eddie Collins posted a .324 batting average and 81 RBIs to put them over the top. And if you thought that was impressive, just wait for the infield that cost more than a mansion. The Philadelphia Athletics returned the following season, competing against the New York Giants this time around. Similarly to 1910, Philadelphia won the title, accomplishing this in 6 games. This 1911 squad was known for its $100,000 infield at the time, a group that contributed significantly to their win total. It featured Collins, Stuffy McInnes, Jack Barry, Frank Home Run Baker, Eddie Plank, and Charles Chief Bender. In 1912, the Boston Red Sox defeated the New York Giants, who had also lost the previous title series. Boston finished the job in 7 games and set the franchise record for the highest winning percentage in a single season. One of the biggest reasons for their victory was due to a muffed fly ball by Giants outfielder Fred Snodgrass. Many claimed this was the $30,000 muff, referring to the money that Boston won for the title. We got another rematch in 1913 between the Philadelphia Athletics and the New York Giants, And for the third straight year, New York lost. Philadelphia won in 5 games thanks to that infamous $100,000 infield. This group had 3 separate batters who held a batting average over 300 for the season, all of whom went up to bat at least 500 times as well. And then, Philadelphia got hit with a miracle they didn't see coming. Philadelphia marched back the following season, the 4th time in 5 years. They were turned away by the Boston Braves, who swept them. Boston was in last place in the National League at the midpoint of the year, hence earning the nickname Miracle Braves. They had to go 68-19 over the final stretch of the year to even get in the conversation for a title. 1915 was a peculiar year because it was technically a rematch, yet not one at the same time. The Boston Red Sox beat the Philadelphia Phillies in a 5-game series. Same cities, new names. Interestingly, 2 of these games were played at Braves Field, located in neither Boston nor Philadelphia. This was done to provide more seats. The Red Sox made it back again in 1916, beating the Brooklyn Robins 4-1. This was the 3rd season in a row in which a Boston team won the World Series. The first 3 games of this series were all decided by 1 run, including a 14-inning showdown in Game 2. 3 titles in a row? Just wait till Chicago shows up again. The Chicago White Sox took down the New York Giants in a 6-game series in 1917. This was the 4th World Series loss for the Giants in as many tries. Chicago benefited from the outstanding play by Eddie Cicotte and Red Faber. Throughout the season, Cicotte pitched 346 innings and held a 1.53 ERA. Faber pitched 248 innings and held a 1.92 ERA. 1 year later, the world changed, and so did baseball. After a 1-year lapse, the Boston Red Sox made it back and won another World Series title, knocking down the Chicago Cubs in a 6-game series. This Red Sox pitching crew surrendered the fewest runs in the league, not to mention that they also had Babe Ruth on the roster. This season was cut short due to World War I, with about 30 fewer games being played. The 1919 Cincinnati Reds won a tight 8-game series against the Chicago White Sox, which went down to the wire. This series also led to the Black Sox scandal, when it was discovered that the Chicago team intentionally lost the series. The scandal involved 8 White Sox members allegedly throwing games for financial gain. All 8 players were permanently banned from the league. This next one, fueled by tragedy and a team refusing to crumble. The following season, the Cleveland Indians defeated the Brooklyn Robins in a 7-game series. Cleveland was spurred on by the death of starting shortstop Ray Chapman, who had died after getting hit with a pitch during the season. Chapman had been a critical part of the batting order, with an average of .303. He's one of 2 players ever to pass away as a result of an injury suffered during a game. Finally, in 1921, the New York Giants won a World Series, defeating the New York Yankees in an 8-game series. The 8th game was a nail-biter, with the final score being just 1-0. In total, the combined results for both times yielded only 10 hits. The victory finally broke their spell of bad luck after losing consecutive World Series titles. They finally broke the curse. But could they hold on? New York doubled down on that change of luck, winning a 2nd straight championship, beating the Yankees in this one as well. The only difference was that they swept them this time. The Giants' pitching rotation didn't surrender over 3 runs in any game throughout this series either. After getting swept in the World Series the previous year, the Yankees won the 1923 title by taking down the Giants in 6 games. This was the 3rd straight Giants vs. Yankees World Series matchup. Babe Ruth set a record this season for the highest recorded batting average throughout the season, with one sitting at .393. For the 4th straight year, the Giants made the title series, this time against the Washington Senators, who would go on to win the series. Washington won in 7 games after a 12-inning Game 7 victory. They couldn't have done it without future Hall of Famer Goose Goslin, as he drove in a league-high 129 runs. In 1925, the title series didn't feature either the Giants or the Yankees for the first time in 4 years. We saw the Pittsburgh Pirates defeat the Washington Senators in a 7-game series. This Pittsburgh team had 3 Hall of Famers on the roster and became the first team since 1901 to score 20 runs in back-to-back games. We didn't see this happen again until 1950 when the Boston Red Sox did it. We couldn't get rid of the Yankees for too long as they found their way back in 1926. Unfortunately for them, they lost to the St. Louis Cardinals in another 7-game series. St. Louis had the MVP on their roster in Bob O'Farrell. He batted .293 with 7 homers and 68 RBIs. The end of this series was actually when Babe Ruth was thrown out at second base. 1927, the Yankees made it back the following season and beat the Pittsburgh Pirates in a 4-game sweep. Babe Ruth was a featured player on a Yankees roster that got nicknamed Murderer's Row, a theme that many believe is the greatest in history. They were 19 games better than the next closest team in the regular season standings, having been tied for first or better all year. Of course, with a team this good, it's no surprise that the Yankees won back-to-back titles, beating the St. Louis Cardinals and getting revenge on them from 2 years prior. New York swept the Cardinals, similar to the Pirates. This Yankees team set an MLB record down the line, with 9 players on the roster getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. The 1929 World Series didn't feature the Yankees, as the Philadelphia Athletics defeated the St. Louis Cardinals in 5 games. This Philadelphia team dominated, winning the American League by a whopping 18-game margin. Pitcher Lefty Grove led the American League in strikeouts with 170 in 275 innings pitched. And just when you thought it couldn't get weirder, Philadelphia made it back-to-back the following season by defeating the St. Louis Cardinals in 6 games. After this series, the Athletics weren't able to win a World Series until 42 years later. Fun fact: in 1930, this Athletics team became the only team in league history to pull off a triple steal twice in one game successfully. There was another rematch in 1931, but this time, the Cardinals defeated the Athletics in 7 games. St. Louis featured MVP winner Frankie Frisch, a second baseman who averaged .311 with 4 home runs and 82 RBIs. He also led the National League with 28 stolen bases. Besides Frisch, St. Louis had the NL batting champ, the leading pitcher in wins, and the strikeout champ. They weren't gone for long. The Yankees came back with a vengeance and took down the Chicago Cubs in a 4-game sweep to add another title to their collection. A record 9 future Hall of Famers were on this Yankees roster, including Babe Ruth. This Yankees squad was the first in league history to go an entire season without getting shut out. And then in 1933, the New York Giants beat the Washington Senators in a 5-game series. Despite the difference in wins, this series was far closer than you would imagine. Pitcher Carl Hubbell was huge in this series, getting credited for 2 of their 4 wins. He also had a phenomenal regular season. 30 years, 30 World Series, and not a single one went quietly. We saw dynasties rise, legends crumble, scandals break the game in 2. There were teams that won with no bats, teams that lost with Hall of Famers, and moments so strange they still echo a century later. This wasn't polished baseball. This was raw, unpredictable, and unforgettable. And the craziest part? It was only the beginning.